Hey everybody, welcome back to another post-game live stream as we break down this current reactions between this Celtics versus Cavaliers game. It was a roller coaster of emotions, as we all know. Jason Tatum came out fantastic for this squad early in the first half, putting up fantastic numbers for this team. But then we saw the Celtics go into a slump in that fourth quarter as the Cleveland Cavaliers crawled back in, the Celtics playing some lazy defense in tonight's matchup, and Dean Wade absolutely erupted versus this squad, and it led for an embarrassing finish for this team. The Celtics win streak is now snapped, unfortunately, due to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were playing without their best player in Donovan Mitchell. There were some very, very unconditional and weird calls from the referees in this game as well. We'll be breaking down all of that and more on this post-game live stream here on Celtics Digest. What's up, everybody? I'm Bruce Veliz. If you guys are new here, make sure to hit that like button, hit that tap button, as this is a big time thing as we're breaking down for the Boston Celtics. It is absolutely a terrible way to go out, and especially the way they did with those late game shenanigans with the referees, with that atrocious foul call. The Celtics not getting any playoff any really late calls at the end of the game, not getting any time at the end of the buzzer. Scalabrine was pissed. I was pissed off, and we're going to be breaking down. We want to hear your guys' reactions as well in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think as well. We got some comments here. We're going to talk about them. We got a comment here from Dwayne Dodson saying that they weren't playing team ball in the second half. They played hero ball, and unfortunately that is what happens with this Boston Celtics squad. We saw that happen last season, and it clearly is not doing great for the Celtics. So we saw it happen tonight as well. It was very, very bad, and I'm here to break it down. We're going to be diving in, looking at all this Celtics news, looking at the Celtics reactions. Let me know what you guys think as well, because in my personal opinion, I thought they came out hot. We had some great performances from the likes of Jason Tatum on the early half. We saw a great performance from Jaylen Brown. We saw a good performance from Kristaps Porzingis, utilizing that mismatch. And even Luke Kornet on the bench was looking fantastic for this team. It's just not what the Boston Celtics wanted out with the outcome, as they unfortunately fall late in the fourth quarter to a Cavaliers team playing without their best player, and was a very, very streaky team. Celtics did choke. We have one from Nick Herrera, and I want to say shout out to T Snizzle as well, saying shout out to Celtics Digest. He has the best videos. Shout out to you for tuning into our content. We greatly appreciate it. Jacob Genesis said they pissed away a 20-point lead with 9 minutes left in the fourth. All they had to do was slow down the game, make the extra passes, find the high percentage shot, and dribble out the clock. I totally agree. It was a piss poor performance at the end of the game for the Boston Celtics. They came out slow on the defensive end to start off the second half as well. It seemed the Cleveland Cavaliers wanted this game more. They wanted to have that energy. They were pushing for the win more than the Boston Celtics, and unfortunately for the Celtics, that resulted in their loss. If we want to look at some of the stats, we can see from the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, 26 points, Porzingis, 24 points, and Tatum dominated in that first half, finishing with 13 rebounds as well, 5 for 9 from the field from 3, but did not excel in the second half for the Celtics. Derek White played fantastic on the defensive side, 7 assists, 5 total rebounds, and 4 total blocks, even though he only had a total of 3 points. He wasn't used on the offensive side of the ball tonight. He was a main defensive contributor. And like I mentioned, Luke Kornet also excelling for the Celtics early on in his second stint, putting up 3 total rebounds, caught a nice lob to finish off with 4 points, but also had 2 solid blocks. But unfortunately for the Boston Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers did get hot late in the fourth quarter. If we want to look at their stats, we can see Jared Allen had a big game in the paint for them, 21 points and 12 total rebounds. And the Celtics still struggling on those defensive rebounds, enabling to control those big-time centers, getting those possessions. Celtics, unfortunately, are unable to stop that, and that was shown tonight as well versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Dean Wade absolutely cooked up late in the fourth quarter for the Cleveland Cavaliers, 8 for 11 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3 with 8 total rebounds and 23 points. I believe he had a total of 21 of those points in the fourth quarter for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Want to look at the team stats? shot around the same from the similar, but the Celtics from three-point range shot a little bit worse than the field goal range, shot around 40% compared to the Cavs' 48%, who really started to click in the fourth quarter. The Celtics did out-rebound them, and they did out-rebound them on the offensive boards, which is nice, but they were leading the second chance points for a little bit. The Celtics, though, did excel on the blocks, and that was one thing I like to see. Celtics, again, some trouble with the turnovers as well. Let's dive in and look some more at these comments. Talking about this game and breaking down all it, we have a comment from Huma Kavala saying, total joke in the fourth quarter. I understand the Cavs had a few shots, but the refs just allowed very fluid play. Tatum, Brown, Porzingis getting hacked out there, no calls. I totally agree. That last play of the game that we just saw, Jason Tatum over there in the fourth quarter, wouldn't say he necessarily got fouled, but even the 1 point call with Darius Garland late in the game with the Cleveland Cavaliers challenge call, it definitely threw off some of the Boston Celtics mojo, some rhythm, and the Celtics were just playing lazy defense late in the game. Unfortunately for the Celtics as well, they just weren't getting the calls, even if they were driving at the rim. You saw Kristaps Porzingis begging for calls, looking like this the whole entire time. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they both expressed their frustration on that end of the ball. Even Derek White was looking at the refs sometimes when he felt he deserved a foul and wasn't getting the call. It was clearly a one-sided show on the referee side tonight. Roberto Torres says, this is what I'm talking about. We lost the game. Let's not get down on ourselves. I know this is part of the game. I mean, they need to end. We need to get punched in the mouth so we can come back. That is true. The Celtics have had a lot of games where they've been able to blow out teams and hold that lead. That's what Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine were kind of harping on on the late game at the end, talking about how the Celtics kind of needed these clutch wins, needed these clutch opponents, tried to face off and try to be able to win these games in the clutch. Celtics were 18-8 before this game in clutch scenarios. Unfortunately, fall to 18-9. Humala says one of the worst calls was Porzingis getting hacked, and then he goes down and barely touches the guy. The guy gets the call, but KP doesn't. I believe that was on G-Wagon, who they were talking about, Georges Niang, who also had a big game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And there was a big call. I believe I know what play you're exactly talking about. Kristaps Porzingis had him all over him, and it looked like it was a clear foul on it, Georges Niang, but Kristaps Porzingis didn't get it, and that was a clear giveaway as well. No problem, homie. I'm going to go to bed now. I'm in disbelief now that we lost to them without Mitchell. No worries, T-Snizzle. Thank you for coming by and enjoying the live stream. I greatly appreciate it. Best of luck, and hope you get some rest. Unfortunately, Celtics ain't able to get it done, but hopefully they can bounce back versus the Nuggets for us. Roberto says, and guess what? Every time we have lost a game, we come back and win the next one. I know the next few games are going to be rough, but it's fine as well. We're going to get crucified just because we lost one game. Yep, I'm not that worried about this. I'm just having some honest reactions. It's kind of embarrassing that the Celtics, did choke a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. It seemed like the Celtics were going to cruise onto this game, possibly let some of their young guys get some run even into this fourth quarter, but just having some defensive efficiencies and just, playing lackadaisical on the defensive side led to, the Cleveland Cavaliers coming back and hitting some big-time shots. It was easy for Dean Wade to step up and hit those threes. But yes, it's not an overreaction. Celtics can lose these games. It's expected that the Celtics are going to lose some of them. Jacobs is an important game because it's a divisional game. Doesn't matter if we lead them by 8 games. Yeah, it's all right. They are in the Eastern Conference, so that is a big step, and they are close to catching up to us. But I'm sure that the Celtics are going to be able to hold on to that lead and be able to keep that first seed locked up. T-Snizzle, Tatum had one job. He just needed to give it to KP. KP was wide open. He would have cashed out. I think that the Celtics also got robbed there at the end because we saw KP got that layup at the end when Chase and Tatum should have gone foul, but the Celtics only got 0.7 seconds. The commentators for the Celtics, Brian Scalabrine and Drew Carter, were talking about how the Celtics deserve, a couple more extra seconds, maybe 1.1, 1.7. Maybe would have been able to help us out a little bit more. Ron says old Celtics in that fourth. Yeah, it was looking like a little bit of that hero ball, a little bit of a lackadaisical defense, but you know what? That's what happens to this Celtics team. Sometimes they play down to their opponents, and tonight, even though the Cleveland Cavaliers are a great team, when the Cleveland Cavaliers were struggling, they played down to a little bit, got a little bit lazy, but this needs to be a wake-up moment for this squad. Yep, old Celtics in the fourth. Worst game of the season for Joe. I wouldn't blame Joe too much on this Chad Swift. Joe's had a really great season with this squad. He's really bounced back. I mean, I'm a firm believer in our head coach. He's really turned some people's heads this season really lately. And yeah, you can fault him for not calling a timeout, not being able to run some defensive switches. You can call him out for all of that stuff, and you rightfully so can. But in my honest opinion, Joe has kind of, shown us how good he can be and shows us how important he can be for this Celtics squad leading this team by being, such a great mind, working with so many different ways. We've seen him change the offensive game, change the defensive game on the snap of fingers. I truly think tonight it was just that the Cleveland Cavaliers were hungry in that fourth quarter and simply wanted it more than the Boston Celtics. The last tip did not make sense. The referees stated the call at the wrong point, meaning the game ended when it shouldn't have. Exactly, Moon. That's what Brian Scalabrine was definitely harping on at the end of the game, and he definitely was especially harping on that one key point. Hamala says, NBA scripting games like WWE, Vince McMahon is smiling somewhere. Definitely the refereeing this season has been a little bit wanky in my honest opinion. Not with just the Celtics, as, we've seen with this Celtics team and plethora of games. If we watched most of them, we've seen some weird calls that have led to some, unweird matchups. That game versus the Pacers with Jaylen Brown and the Kristaps Porzingis calls. But across the whole NBA, there's just been some really bad officiating going on this season, and I think that's something that truly needs to be fixed. Jacob says it's like they weren't even playing at their pace the entire game. They played so fast and frantically all throughout. Yeah, they were very rushing at the end of the game. They didn't want to slow it down, which they desperately, I believe, should have. I believe that if they slowed the game down a little bit closer in the end of the game, kind of, took their strength at that point, looked for the open pass, looked for the open man, played some great team ball like we saw versus the Golden State Warriors. Having that ball movement really helps the Boston Celtics excel. And unfortunately, just late in the fourth quarter, they were just rushing and playing a little bit of hero ball. Peace out, T-Snizzle. Catch you in the next one. Greatly appreciate you tuning in. And what was with the clock that should have been more than 0.7 seconds? They definitely should have had some more clock on that as well, on that last shot. Michael says Tatum lost this single-handedly. He did have a bad second half, but first half definitely led this squad, pretty solid. I think that I wouldn't put the blame single-handedly on him. Obviously, the team has to, work as a unit to get these wins and provide the best win for the Boston Celtics, provide the best outcome. But Jason Tatum definitely having a little bit of a lackluster second half didn't help out the Celtics campaign, because he was looking like, one of those guys who could prove all the haters wrong tonight with his MVP campaign by having a very, very efficient first half. Nick says we shouldn't have lost games up to 2022 without Mitchell. It's a lack of maturity is what it is. We are worried about from what crumbling in events in the past. I truly think it's not that. I truly think that honestly, they just played lazy. I know I've been kind of repeating myself, but realistically, I think that they just got lazy. They were letting Dean Wade walk open into three-point shots like the Warriors were letting Jaylen Brown walk into three-point shots when he was playing. And that's unfortunately what's going to happen, and it's going to bite you in the butt if you're a team that's going to disrespect somebody. Let's see. We got some more comments here. Homola, Derek White catches the ball with 0.4. Mazzulla told the refs we would call a timeout. I believe that Joe Mazzulla almost called a timeout with 2 seconds as well. So I was kind of confused on why that didn't happen either. Colby says Tatum plays too much here. LOL. Tatum plays too much here. I don't know. Now all the doubters are going to be talking. Pathetic by Mazzulla letting this happen and not calling timeouts to make adjustments. Yes, that was a bogus reversal, but we lost this because we let Dean Wade go off. Should have won and gotten to 12. I definitely agree, Rob. I think that the Celtics definitely should have been able to close this one out. Unfortunately, just weren't able to do it because, like we mentioned, they came out pretty solid on the defensive side in the first half. The Celtics team was, dominating and leading for a majority of this game. They had that 22-point lead. But, right into the third quarter, there was a little bit of a lackadaisical on defense. Cavs kind of caught and brought it back, but then the Celtics went on that big run to end that third quarter, led by, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and then in the fourth quarter, just could not find any solutions on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. Bad coaching, bad defense, bad shot selection, bad loss. Yeah, you're right about Joe. I'm just disappointed with them. No worries, Chad. I totally understand. We can all be disappointed. You know what I mean? We can all have our, honest opinions. That's why I want to hear your guys' reactions. That's why I ask for everyone in the comment section to come to these post games and let me know what you guys think. Win, loss. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know how you guys feel about this team as well. We're trying to build a community. We're trying to build everybody here. If you guys are here, if you guys are new, make sure to hit the stream like button as well so we can get this stream pushing. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you guys enjoy these post-game live streams, if you guys like these post-game reactions, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you let us know in the comment section down below so we can keep pushing out these live streams, because personally, I really like doing them. It might be a little bit more uncomfortable for me, but I really do like doing these, engaging with you guys, and being able to just talk about the Boston Celtics and just hear what you guys personally have to say. Tatum miss, Tatum miss, Tatum miss, Tatum miss. Yeah, that it does be happening. To be honest, JT had the shot, but let the refs get to his head all game. He wasn't focused. Needs to point that out to him because we need to get poised at the end of the game. Because KP was open in the paint, JT was in his head for the ref because of the refs. No, I totally agree. JB definitely. Or JT, excuse me, definitely had Kristaps Porzingis wide open, and he desperately wanted to hit that shot. I was, kind of thinking the same way when Brian Scalabrine was saying that you need to hurry, they need to, keep this act up. They can't be bringing up the ball slowly because you could kind of tell the Celtics were going to look for a game-winning shot, and when they go into those opportunities, it's going to be a Jason Tatum look, and we all know that as Celtics fans as well. I love the Celtics, but I can't stress enough, he can't take another late-game shot. Let someone else take it. That is one thing, too. I really want to see some other guys take it. The only problem is, though, I think Jason Tatum, since he had that such effective first half, the Celtics still wanted to play through him and look for him in that clutch moments. The main guy that they look for in the clutch, Derek White, it was solid tonight, like I mentioned, played a fantastic game on the defensive side, put up, 4 total blocks for this Boston Celtics team, and he does win the game sometimes for the Boston Celtics in the clutch in that fourth quarter, being able to hit those threes, but unfortunately he wasn't, hitting those threes and being an effective shooter, so that might have thrown off the Celtics game plans a little bit there as well. Why aren't we playing our D guys like Tillman, Springer, Drew, White? We at least got to get out of our system. Tonight, unfortunately, Tillman I saw this tweet during the game, and I was very, very confused about this, Michael. Tillman was not listed on the injury report. Everybody was listed to play, but Tillman was sitting in street clothes, and there was a tweet. I can't remember who it was by the name, but they gave me this information to point it out that Tillman was sitting in street clothes on the bench for the Boston Celtics. So maybe a late game scratch. I don't know. Springer has gone some run in some late night games and some games that are blowouts. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's kind of at the end of the totem pole, so we haven't really seen him and how he's been effective, but I would like to see him play against some of these great guards because over on the Philadelphia 76ers, he was able to lock up guys like Luka Doncic, lock up guys like Steph Curry. So I would like to see how the Celtics could utilize that. Maybe if they had Donovan Mitchell, we would have seen it, but unfortunately, we did not get to. SMH disappointed tonight. T-Hoops, I'm disappointed too. It's an unfortunate, sad loss. Obviously, the Boston Celtics are not going to win every single game. We know that that's not a realistic option, but it is unfortunate to see them go down like this and to see them lose a game where they desperately and should have won for the fans and had a game that they easily had closed out. We should have adjusted on Dean Wade, like their ego let him just play, like Mazzulla should have changed game plan on. I agree, they were just letting him take wide open shots, like the Warriors were letting Jaylen Brown take wide open shots the other game, and that's what unfortunately cost this Boston Celtics team, as they just were able to hit their shots in the fourth quarter, while the Celtics played a little bit more selfish, wanted to, be able to contribute a little bit more for their own stats maybe, or just weren't really locking in playing that team defense as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers, even though they lost Evan Mobley due to an ankle injury, they still have Jared Allen, who's a beast in the paint. And even though Kristaps Porzingis and Luke Kornet were dominating, getting some great rim protection, getting some block shots, it was just easy for the Cleveland Cavaliers to attack the Boston Celtics at the paint tonight. Let's be honest, they started crying about the no calls, lost focus. I agree on that a little bit, Jay Fresh. I wouldn't, they definitely were crying about the no calls for sure. And, who to blame? You can't really blame them on not. There were multiple times that Kristaps Porzingis got fouled. Multiple times that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both got fouled, where they desperately deserved those calls. But there was also times where, like we saw with the 2 challenges by the Cleveland Cavaliers, that the refs reversed calls on the Cleveland Cavaliers defense, where the Celtics should have been awarded some free throws. So there's a little bit of fault there as well, where the Cleveland Cavaliers definitely got some lucky calls with them tonight as well. At least this wasn't at home exactly. At least the Celtics were able to, unfortunate that they did lose on the road. We want to be able to keep our road integrity, want to be able to keep our home integrity, but at least the fans did not disappoint. We're not disappointed tonight. Love the Celtics, Bruce. Thanks for having me on. My first time on live chat. Of course, Chad Swift. That was fun. Good night, guys. We will win Thursday. I really appreciate it, Chad. Thank you for joining in and tuning into the live stream. Appreciate it for commenting down and letting us know your thoughts. And make sure, if you enjoy stuff like this, make sure to continuing to join, because we'll be having these post-game live streams after every single Celtics game leading up to the playoffs and even into the playoffs. We want to continue these live streams. And I appreciate you guys coming out and chatting away, letting us know your thoughts. Rob said, that was old Celtics playing solo and playing not to lose, running out the clock instead of trying to run up the score. Now the trolls start talking again. Need to show up and bury Denver early. Exactly. We need to get that revenge game. Kind of how we were wired up to want to win versus Golden State on our home court, Rob. I totally agree. This game versus Denver is an absolute win. In my honest opinion, I realistically didn't think Kristaps Porzingis was going to go tonight. I thought the Boston Celtics were going to hold him on an injury report, thought they were going to make him rest, and I thought that they were going to wait until we got to Denver to be able to play him to run that double big lineup versus guys like Aaron Gordon, run guys versus Nikola Jokic, because we desperately needed Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, he excelled with the Celtics tonight, putting up fantastic numbers, and it was really great to see him be in this Celtics court tonight. But the Celtics, after losing that embarrassing game versus the Denver Nuggets last time they came to Boston and giving the Celtics their first home loss on the season, the Celtics definitely need to lock in and beat this Denver Nuggets team to prove everybody wrong, because the Denver Nuggets' main real competition over on the Eastern Conference is the Boston Celtics. That's the team that everyone's talking about. These are the teams that are talking about the best team in the West that won last year versus the best team with the whole best record this year. And I know that Denver Nuggets fans are really, really sad hearing that their team is not the favorite, that their team is not the best team to win, because their teams like the Celtics that are truly dominant. So the Nuggets are going to come hungry, the Celtics are going to come hungry, and the Celtics desperately need to get that win. T-Hoops, yeah, you know how Missoula is like. Missoula had this thing on his head like he let this guy beat us, but not the other coded, because he's the number guys when it comes to ball. Hero ball typo. Yes, unfortunately, just hero ball late in the game for the Celtics was a very, very bad thing, and sometimes that can backfire. Crushing Denver will shut up everybody and all the doubters for sure. Exactly. The Boston Celtics will be able to win that and be able to push through. I'm feeling a W versus Denver. I don't know how Jamal Murray is. I know that he's been solid this year. I know a guy like Michael Porter Jr. has been solid. Obviously, Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic are a very good front court tandem, but the Boston Celtics are a powerhouse. And even though they had a little bit of a fourth quarter collapse tonight, and it was a little bit sad to witness, I still believe that this team is going to dominate and put on a fantastic show versus the reigning champs in Denver. We never lost 2 in a row, so that's a good sign. For sure, T-Hoops. That's why I'm saying I feel confident. And, we still have a tough schedule. We got games versus Phoenix on Saturday, which is going to be another, great matchup. Unfortunately, no Devin Booker, so we're not going to see the best form of the Phoenix Suns, but we're still going to see a talented team in the Western Conference who's still going to put on a show with Kevin Durant. So it's going to be a fantastic matchup for the Celtics to witness as well. He'll get both Jays. Every time Unicorn touches the ball, something good happens. Need to run the offense through KP. He'll get both Jays easier shots. I agree. I think the Celtics need to run some actions with KP. They definitely do run the offense through it. We saw that in the first quarter. We saw that KP pick and pop, that three-point shot being used as a versatile weapon for the Celtics to, punish some teams in early on in the game and, help out this Celtics squad. We saw Kristaps Porzingis not really scoring that much in the post tonight, but, he is a solid scorer there down low in the paint. He is an effective scorer for this Celtics team, like we mentioned, and he does make the game easier for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I've talked about that in past videos where we mentioned that Jaylen Brown is just, really rising to his game, becoming a new player this year, playing alongside his new best friend in Kristaps Porzingis, and it's truly doing wonders for this Celtics squad, as that pick and roll seems to be one of the best things. Jay Smooth, you want your shout out? Here you go, buddy. I'm reading your comments, but guess what? You are a Cavaliers fan, and you won a lucky comeback win. We'll see you when you make it out of the first round of the playoffs. Talk to me then. Michael, put your house on Tatum over points next game. He's going to make up big time. I'm really hoping he's got to prove those people wrong, because we've seen Jason Tatum go up against Luka Doncic. We've seen Jason Tatum go up a guy like Nikola Jokic. We've seen Jason Tatum go up a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We've seen him go up against MVP candidates like Joel Embiid, and we need Jason Tatum to prove everybody that he is still an MVP candidate, because even though other guys like Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic are putting up fantastic stats, it needs to be recognized that Jason Tatum is still a top 5 MVP candidate. Because KP is a good passer. He can be like a Jokic if we ran through him. He's smart enough to as well. I think so as well. I really like KP's passing ability. I also really like Drew Holiday's passing ability. I haven't really talked about Drew Holiday that much on this episode here either, but Drew Holiday was a fantastic player for the Celtics, and he was really, really good tonight. Obviously, started off a little bit weird, missing a corner three, which is something that you wouldn't really expect if you're a Boston Celtics fan. You guys know that he is notoriously known for knocking down those corner threes. But Celtics had a lot of rim out, not to mention early on in the game. It was really, really weird for them and for the Cleveland Cavaliers as well. I know we should have kept KP down for the Nuggets game, but we need to learn from this and play all 4 quarters focused and poised. I totally agree, Jay Fresh. The Celtics need to lock in for this Nuggets game because this is, in my opinion, the game that they have to have circled on their map because the Nuggets did destroy the Boston Celtics' perfect home record this year. You know that's going to make JB mad. You know that's going to make JT mad, and they want to go into Denver and prove them that they can win in their building as well and kind of get, a little bit back of some, get a little bit of a bite back for what they did to Boston. Good night, brother. Thanks for the shout-outs. Of course, Michael, thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate you commenting down. I'm probably going to be ending the stream right here, guys, probably because we've kind of covered everything that's happened for this Boston Celtics squad, breaking down the unfortunate loss as the Celtics did collapse this 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. Dean Wade came in and destroyed the Celtics in the fourth quarter. But before we leave, I want to say shout out to everybody that contributed to the chat tonight. I really appreciate it. T Hoops, Jay Fresh. We're going to scroll up. Kobe Reed. We got Michael, Chad Swift. We got Rob Version. I know he was here for a bit. Michael Tatum, T Snizzle, Huma Kavla, Moon, Rob Midget, Jacob Genesis, Roberto Torres, T Snizzle, Nick Herrera. Shout out to all of you guys. Dwayne Dodson. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the live stream tonight. Thank you guys so much. We greatly appreciate every one of you guys who tunes into these live streams. We want to continue these live streams. We want to make sure that we get these live streams continuing going, breaking down these post-game reactions. If you guys enjoy stuff like that, make sure to hit the like button on the stream. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on the channel, as this is the place for all your Boston Celtics news. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this live stream. We'll have another one breaking down the post-game Thursday night versus the Denver Nuggets, and we'll have a bunch of other videos in the meantime to break down Celtics content. Thank you guys so much again for tuning into this live stream, and I'll catch you